my speech is about women through history, sort of. So I have a primary source of women protesting outside the White House that I'll talk about. And I'll talk about Marilyn Monroe too and how she changed women's history. And then the theme I'll be talking about is rebellion through history, mostly women rebelling against their rights and segregation and discrimination and all that. So my primary source is this photo of 14 women outside the White House protesting the right to vote and the Equal Rights Amendment and trying to get fair pay and like working the same jobs and things like that. And the sign reads, "Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?" And I chose this primary source because I thought this was a big part in history, just having the right to vote, and there were women who would try to vote and were arrested, and so having our rights to vote was a big part in history, and it's an important topic to me because I want to vote when I can. And it matters because without them protesting all over parades and outside the White House and Congress and things like that, we wouldn't be in the place we are today without these amazing women who stood up for themselves and their rights. And so my person that I chose was Marilyn Monroe, and she was a model and an actress who grew up with a family with some issues. Her mom had some mental health issues, so she jumped from family member to family member and like orphanages and stuff, and then she had an arranged marriage, so she didn't have to go back to orphanages. And then he went off to the war, and she worked in an aeronautical plant, and that's where her first photograph was taken, which is this one. And then the photographer was like stunned by how photogenic she was and wanted to take more pictures of her. And her real name was Norma Jean Mortensen, but when she became more famous, she dyed her hair platinum blonde and changed it to Marilyn Monroe. And she captivated America and women and was a huge sort of confidence boost for women and helped women gain the courage to be themselves. And I chose her because she is huge for us. I mean, even now we quote her all the time, and we show photos of her, and we think there's a statue in Chicago of her, and she's a huge part of like women's history and how we have the courage to stand up for ourselves and be ourselves and not be afraid to voice our opinions and stuff like that. And it's important because without her, we wouldn't be as respected as we are today as women. I mean, a long time ago, we were treated more like objects and not human beings, but when she voiced her opinions and her feelings, then it sort of clicked to everybody that we were all human and we all deserved the right things. And without her, we would be treated like housewives and do all of the work for men and that. And so it's really important for us to have her as a role model in our lives. And then rebellion. It shows up all through history, not even like just with women, but with everyone else, but I'm just going to focus on women. Because there was, well, first of all, in the Civil War, there was Harriet Tubman, who led the Underground Railroad, and it was huge because she was a woman who was leading this huge, like, safety sort of plan for all of the slaves, and it was just something you don't see, a black woman creating this amazing, like, savior hero figure for everybody. And then in the 1800s, Susan B. Anthony, who was told that she couldn't learn math because she wasn't supposed to be able to count money or do things like that. She was supposed to clean and cook for everybody else, and she didn't like that, so she created a newspaper called The Revolution that like tried to encourage women to rebel against the government and all of that. And she sort of started the whole rebellion against and protesting outside the White House, and it just sort of opened our eyes to see how we were being treated, and it changed our history a lot. And then there's Rosie the Riveter, and she's the one in World War II who did the We Can Do It sign and like the whole like arm, like we can do it, and like the rebellion against like not letting women work because they needed to work because all the men were off at World War II, and she sort of encouraged women to take the stand and help the country get out of the bad place that we were in since everybody was gone off to war and dying. And that is important to me because rebelling is important because it happens all the time, and there's definitely going to be more through history, and we all want to improve our lives, and the only way we can really do that, I guess, is rebelling and voicing our opinion. And it's never going to stop. It's always going to happen. And so women rebelling is